Okay, so welcome officially to everyone. Nice sharing, nice chats. Thanks, everyone. Some really good interactions there. So we're gonna have a look now at today's email. There's a quote and some teaching, and then that'll lead us nicely into our lesson. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Give me a moment. Okay. So, okay. So expand that a bit. Who would like to read the quote by Steve Jobs?
I will.
Thanks, Lynn.
I'm just going to make it bigger if I can. No, actually, I can't. Could you make it just a little bit bigger, please, Jono?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other opinions drown your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Yeah.
It's a great message. So he's a business leader, but he's tapping in, isn't he? He was one of the reasons why Steve Jobs was what he was, and he did some phenomenal things in his life, was because he was spiritual. He tapped in on another level to these kinds of ideas and the truth, and he allowed that to come through and guide him in his business career, and that's why he did some extraordinary things, because the spirit was guiding him. It's definitely a different quality to his life.
It's funny, I didn't know he was spiritual until I've been on these courses with you. I didn't realize. I just thought he's a really famous businessman. I didn't know.
No, he was quite alternative. He was into when he was at college, he went to India, dropped out of college, went to India for a year, I think. More got into meditation, did some acid, all that kind of stuff. It was the 70s. Everyone was doing it. And he because of that, he had something a little bit different. Then he went into this world of business and information technology, which was just really starting to manifest, come into fruition. And he was the right guy in the right place in the right time. And interesting, if you look at the genesis of it, so he was a follower of Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, who was a master who came from India, and he was instructed by his guru in the 1920s to go to California, particularly California, West Coast, to spread the message of yoga and to bring it to the West. That was his mission. And so he spent the latter part of his life there. He spent 20, 30 years there, and established the Self-Realization Fellowship, and was one of the seminal figures in like yoga coming into Western consciousness and spreading and becoming, as popular as it has done today. But, he taught the authentic yoga. It wasn't like, let's just do some hatha yoga postures and have a workout. It's the deep connection. It's the connection with spirit. It was about. So he gets that guidance from his guru, who was instructed by a guy called Mahavatar Babaji, who's an unascended master, knocking around in various disguises, in a body, out of a body, for something like 2,000 years. He's called the Deathless Masters of the Himalayas. So that's where it came from, and then this makes its way to California into Steve Jobs' consciousness, and then he creates this company called Apple. That brings that somehow into popular awareness, you see. So you see how it's all part of a divine plan.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it all the time, how things join together. It's incredible.
Yeah, the synchronicity of it. So the reason why people love Apple is because it stands for something a little bit different from the scientific materialist paradigm. The value system is just a little bit different, isn't it?
It is, but then every now and again you'll see a story absolutely ripping it to shreds about, children down mines and things like that.
I mean, there's probably ego there as well, but there is something about Steve Jobs and the value system he created at Apple that is a little bit different, isn't it? And that's why people will buy an Apple device or computer, and they cost much more than anything else, but they'll buy it because there's something there that's unique, special, different.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an access to, it's a little access to something beyond the material world, and that's kind of got entrenched in the company and the brand and so on. And so people don't even know why they love the Apple, but it's because it's tapping into something deeper in their heart. And so there's no accident about it.
Yeah.
There's no accident that Steve Jobs was tapping in. He brought that frequency, this divine energy, through in his life and what he did. And that, that's what infused Apple with its mojo. Why is Apple the most valuable company in the world? Well, because it was inspired by spirit. That's why. And he was the mechanism of that. It was interesting because Apple, you track its progress. He was the one of the co-founders and really seminal in creating the first kind of part of Apple, which was when they created the Macintosh, and that was really game changing. It was a leader in personal computing. Then they kicked him out. You know that? His story.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard.
So when he was 30, he's built the company. He's one of the founders, and he gets a guy on board who used to be the CEO of Pepsi, and all the shareholders side with him, and they say, no, Steve's got to go because the business, he's not good for the business, and he's too crazy, and he's got all these crazy whatever. I don't know the story exactly, but they justified it like, no, we've got to run this as a proper corporate now, and this guy's a bit off the wall and at least canon, so we've got to get rid of it. And so he had to go, and he was devastated to start with. It was a major letting go opportunity for him, as you can imagine. But he said, in hindsight, he's so grateful that happened, because it forced him out of the corporate environment. It was like, right, you're on your own again. You can go back to where you were 10 years ago. You can be an entrepreneur. You can be creative. You can try things, fail. And so that's what he did. He obviously had some money. He had connections. And so he started a couple of companies, Pixar Studios, which is now one of the biggest animation studios in the world. They did Toy Story. And so a lot of that technology, he was behind that. And then a company called Next, which started working on the kind of technology that came into Apple 10 years later, when they started with their iTunes and the iPod and all of that. That was the kind of revolution of Apple. He developed all of that in the 10, 12 years that he was away from Apple. And then Apple acquired Next. And so he came in via that acquisition. And then they were like, Apple was floundering. Apple was like, they weren't doing very well at all because they'd lost their mojo. They'd lost the spirit, you see. They'd become, it's all corporate, and we just
connected, yeah.
disconnected, exactly, because he was the catalyst for that inspiration to flow through into the company. But it's exactly what needed to happen for him and for the company, that he needed to go away and become creative again, and allow the spirit to come through and inspire him without the fear and all of that corporate bullshit that stops innovation. And then came back and was then responsible for the next revolution of Apple, when it was like all of the the stuff that post the Macintosh, all of the iTunes, all of that came through him in the second revolution, which he brought in the late 90s, which has built Apple into, I think it's the world's most valuable company, or if not, it's up there, but it was the last time I checked. So it just goes to show you, it was all, and he had to let go. His learning was, I have to let go of the past and the attachment to all of that, and I have to forgive, and be willing to see that this is all happening for me, and it's all a lesson. And he did, he learned that lesson. He said it was the hardest lesson you can imagine, because he succeeded. But then at the age of 30, he's built this company at the age of 30, when it's like, okay, well, you should be sitting pretty for the rest of your life. Now you're out. You got to go and start again. Major letting go lesson. But he learned it, and as a result, and his spiritual path would have helped him to do that. As a result of that, then the whole thing unfolds, and the Apple story was really integrally linked to Steve Jobs and his spiritual journey. He was the kind of the mystic, the inspired person who brought that in to the company, and was a catalyst for that, to become part of the corporate culture. And so you can't really put a value to that. That's the world's most valuable company because of that inspiration that he brought.
Yeah, freedom's a big thing. When something sets you free, it changes your path, doesn't it? That's obviously what happened to him. They kicked him out. He had that freedom again, and then he was more inspired.
Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown your own inner voice. They was like, well, others might think I've failed, and you can imagine everyone's talking, oh, Steve's out. You can imagine, it's a small community, Silicon Valley. Oh, Steve's out. What did he do? And he felt humiliated, but he didn't let that drown out his own inner voice that said to him, okay, you're still young, you're 30, you're still a baby, really. You've got energy, you've got some money, you've got ideas, so go for it. Go back to how you were 10 years ago when you were building Apple, and be that creative, dynamic, person. And he did for another 10 years, and then brought that all into Apple. And then they realized, that they'd lost their mojo. They needed him, so they brought him back, because the results were, the company was declining, it was losing market share, and because they didn't have that inspiration anymore. And then he brought it back in spades, and everything was all part of that plan. It was, and you go, wow, the synchronicity of it, the miracles. So it's a business story, but it's a case study in listening to guidance, following the guidance of the Holy Spirit as well.
Yeah, it resonates definitely.
And so you start to see that there's nowhere that the Spirit is not. It's in business. It's in every area. You can see its effects. Steve Jobs is just an example of it in business. But it's there in every field. And if you allow yourself to be inspired like he was, then why can't you do things, the same kind of things, and even greater things? Yeshua said, even greater things than I have done, you shall do, because the Spirit knows no limits. So then you don't put people like him on a pedestal. You go, he just listened. He was guided. He was just a normal guy who listened. He tapped in and he listened, and he followed guidance. And he stayed true to his spiritual path. And when he died, his sort of request was that everyone would get a copy of Yogananda's book, The Autobiography of a Yogi, at his funeral. which, showed the level of, that was like his Bible. He was like, this is how I live my life.
Yeah.
And I'd like to share that with
Yeah.
people.
Sharing the knowledge. Yeah.
Sharing the knowledge, giving them, even at my funeral, giving them access to something that could change their life. So, give them all a copy of the book, because it might just change someone's life, get them to think differently. Yeah. So, all just really powerful stuff. And he had the courage to walk the talk, and so the world tells you to play it safe and stay within your comfort zone, which is the familiar known world of the ego and the hero's journey. But the heroes of this world, Steve Jobs was among them, go, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to go and explore, and yeah, it's challenging. It's not always easy, but I'm going to rise to the challenge and allow the Spirit to guide me. And that's an inspired life. And then you look at a Steve and you go, wow, what a life. Wouldn't it have been great to be Steve Jobs? Well, you be it, because he allowed the Spirit to do his life. And, and direct things. So, you can do the same. You may not build the world's most valuable company. That was his part. But you do something else. That's extraordinary.
We'll see.
Yeah. Just allow it. Just allow it. Okay, I'm up for it, I'm up for the journey. Let's go. You strap yourself in, you're in the roller coaster. Okay, here we go. It's going to be great.
I'm in the roller coaster, I'm sure.
I'm on the roller coaster ride, and it's going to be, there might be times when it's scary. There might be times when I'm going, whoa, what have I got myself into? But,
yeah,
it's certainly not boring. It's not dull. That's for sure.
No, I don't get bored.
Hard life is not dull. So.
Yeah.
So, I think after this course, you've all stepped over the threshold. If you look at this threshold between the known and the unknown world, it's like there's a threshold you break through. It's like you've all broken through that.
Definitely.
Like naming your game and flipping your flop and the higher purpose. It's like, okay, you've committed and you've gone through the resistance, and now ready for the journey to unfold. So the challenges, the temptations continue, but that's how you grow. That's how the hero's journey unfolds to the ultimate awakening, to your true self.
Yeah.
So because your heart already knows what you truly want to be, just totally aware of the pure formless awareness of perfect love that is your true nature, and how you can express this love in the world. Which is your higher purpose. Your heart already knows this. There's a part of you that knows this. And, Steve Jobs is just reminding you, well, you already know this. It's in you. So trust it. Why do you doubt? Why do you question it? It's written in my journal where I'm taking notes. Interesting. So you may still be wondering how these lofty ideas can be meaningfully translated into your daily experience of life, which may seem to be rather humdrum and uninspiring right now, possibly. So we talked about this in today's recorded session, how to approach the practical and often seemingly drudgerous tasks you may have to do on a daily basis, such as housework. Someone asked about that, with a different attitude. By changing your inner state first and then allowing your essence to do the work for you while keeping your mind in a joyful and inspired state. So let's do this as an exercise. Make a list of a number of everyday routine activities that you perform frequently. Just jot it down now. So activities like housework or shopping, commuting to and from work, anything else that you may consider uninteresting, boring, tedious, irritating, or stressful. Don't include any that you absolutely detest doing. That's a case either for acceptance or for stopping the activity entirely. So make a list of those, and then as you look at them, just set an intention that when you engage in those activities, which is a normal part of your life, you're going to allow them, and consciously let them be a vehicle for heightened awareness and flow. So it's really just about bringing yourself completely into the present moment. You might do some breathing, but just focusing on breath and on your sense perceptions is a great way of just bringing yourself completely into the present moment. So there's a live, still presence, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's the same thing. Presence, spirit, pure formless awareness of perfect love, whatever you want to call it. And so you connect with that in and through the activity. Make it a conscious choice to connect with it, to reinterpret what that activity is really about. You thought it was boring and uninteresting and humdrum and you didn't want to do it, but actually the truth is it can connect you with your deepest essence or presence if you allow it to. And if you get into that state successfully, you should notice that in this heightened awareness, instead of being stressed, being stressful, tedious, or irritating, the activity is becoming joyful, becoming enjoyable in heightened awareness. Just that awareness shining into whatever you do makes it quite enjoyable. So to be more precise, what you're enjoying is not really the outward action, but it's the inner dimension of pure formless awareness that underlies and flows into the action that you enjoy. You're enjoying the awareness coming through and experiencing that in and through the action. Does that make sense to everyone? So this is finding the joy of being in what you're doing, which is the essence of the flow state. The joy of being, fundamental reality, the ground of being, your essence, coming through in what you're doing, expressing in what you're doing, that awareness being in what you're doing. And so your whole life can be lived in that state, in that flow state, the essence and the presence of who you are coming through in whatever it is that you're doing. So if you feel your everyday life is tedious, it lacks meaning, it's too stressful, because you haven't brought this dimension of presence into your life fully yet. You haven't made yourself conscious of it in whatever you do. Becoming conscious of this presence hasn't yet become your main aim in life. But it will in time, once you experience its benefits. And you see for yourself, you experience for yourself what this can do for you. Then there are no more questions. You know experientially that this is what you choose. Why would you choose something that's so dysfunctional and a disaster over something that really works? Why indeed? There's no good reason, is it?
No.
But it's experiential. You have to experience it for yourself to know this. That's why it's the hero's journey. It's not theoretical. It's practical application in your daily experiences. It's a difference between a theologian and a mystic. A theologian studies the truth and says, well, I understand conceptually. The mystic knows it experientially. and it's self-evident, which one is more powerful. It's the mystics of the world who changed the world, not the theologians.
Knowing the truth, yeah.
Because they live it, the people like the Yeshuas and the Buddhas, they live it. They live the truth. They know the truth. They live it, and that shines through in the example. They become the living example of the truth. And the theologians that surrounded them just can't hold a candle, because that's just intellectual, theoretical knowledge. There's no there's no practical experience. Generally, they're just in their minds, and they're certainly not going to be inspired to do the kinds of things that you do if you're really walking with the Spirit. Stay very very rule bound, very in the box, in the matrix.
Yeah.
Whereas this just it frees you. So we talked about in this video, Eckhart talks about 3 modalities of awakened doing: acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm, that he writes about in his book, A New Earth. So those 3, I'll talk briefly about them. Acceptance is ground level. It's what you need to attain just to be conscious, to not be an ego. You need minimum of acceptance. Okay, so I just accept that although something might not be going the way I wanted it to, and it's difficult, it's challenging, I'll just surrender. I'll just do it. And I'll give you a good example from my own life. Once I was driving down to Durban from something to Christine from Johannesburg. It's about a 6-hour drive, and it was quite late at night, something like 10 o'clock. Still had a couple of hours to go. So I'm on the N3, and suddenly, just feel like, what's happened? And I pull over and I realize I've got a puncture. So my initial reaction is resistance, like, damn it, how could this happen? Why did this happen? All of that kind of pretty useless thought and emotion. Did that for a minute or two, and then realized, okay, this is getting me nowhere. I've got to actually do. No one's going to come and rescue me. I'm on my own, the side of the road. It's dark. If I call the AA or something, there might be hours. I need to just change the tire. And I've got a spare wheel, so I've got to unpack the boot and get the wheel out and then jack it up and do. And once I'd accepted it, I got into a state of acceptance, then it was fine. I just did it. So, okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm unpacking the boot and I'm getting the jack out, and I'm like, okay, step by step. And I did it, just methodically, step by step. I got into the moment. There was no resistance anymore. I just did the next step and the next step. And, it took 20 minutes or half an hour, and I'd done it, and I got back on the road. And then afterwards, I was like, actually, that was quite pleasant. I quite enjoyed that. Because I got myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, wow, I actually did it. It was the first time I changed a tire on my own. It never happened to me before that. I'd had a blowout like that and I'd been on my own. Otherwise, if it had happened, I'd been with other people. So actually, I could do it. And then I also had to let go of the resistance. There was a learning there. Like, okay, just drop all of that and just get into a clear state of acceptance and do it. Just do what you need to do, which I did. And now I'm telling the story many years later, because it was a great example of moving from resistance into acceptance. And then the power that unlocked was, okay, well, I was able to get the situation resolved quite quickly without minimum fuss and drama after maybe a minute or two of resistance. But if I'd stayed in that resistance the whole time, it would have been not a very pleasant experience. Might have taken longer. Certainly wouldn't have been an enjoyable experience. But in hindsight, I actually quite enjoyed that. But you see, the minimum, this is what Eckhart was saying, to be conscious, minimum is acceptance. So you're not resisting and saying, why is this happening to me?
This is what feels like, do you remember my gazebo issue? I've got my like 3 meter by 3 meter gazebo. It's brand new, so it's all quite different. I couldn't. I mean, the stall holders, they weren't actually very nice to me about it. They were taking the piss like quite high level, and weren't being very helpful. But that just made me more determined. And so eventually I got to that place of acceptance. I just said, I'm going to do this. I know I can do this on my own. I can do it. And now I do it on my own. And someone walked past me the other day and said, crack that now, girl, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, I can see it, because it's really frustrating. I nearly cried one day. I was so frustrated. I felt stupid. People taking the piss and watching me, making a point of telling me. They actually said it's effing painful to watch. That's what someone said to me. And because I'm thinking, don't watch then. Oh, bloody help me. But that, just made me more determined. Then I was like, right, this is okay. There's no reason why I can't do this. I can do it. I actually asked that particular person, what am I doing wrong? They told me one little thing, and it can't be that. I mean, but that is what I do now. And I just do it. So it's
so you got through your resistance.
Yes, and it was quite massive.
Accepted. You got into a state of acceptance.
Yeah.
And then you can do almost anything. Just do it.
Yeah.
The Nike phrase. But you can't just do it if you're in resistance, you see.
The whole market stall is a lesson. It's a massive life lesson to me. I was there 2 days ago. It was freezing cold. It was so bitterly cold. I'm there in my 6 layers, so I can't move properly and all the rest of it. Sold a few pictures. Just a couple of frames got smashed in the wind, and I can see. But I still keep going, because I know that every time I go there, I learn something else. I progress, and all those different things that happen. There's all the good, there's the stuff that feels not so good, and then there's the learnings, and I can just feel myself moving forward every time I go there.
Yeah. So there's the hero's journey. You see, it's practical. You need to go to the market store. You don't get your lessons in church. You get them at the market store.
I won't get them all sitting at home in this lovely peaceful house. I have to go out into the cold. And I do. I'm benefiting from it massively.
Right? And experience the challenges of life in the physical world, and then overcome them. And then you go to another level.
Strengthening when you get past those blocks. It's massively strengthening.
So Christine's just posted something. I actually use this quote. It's one of the quotes I use in the course, in the ongoing program. The mystery of existence lies not just in staying alive, but in finding something to live for. Yeah, exactly. What is meaning? What is purpose? That's what's foundational. And then you said I studied theology. Well, so Christine, a lot of your resistance comes from the mind. It's intellect.
Intellectual, yes.
And it's actually the experience that you're looking for. The theologian is actually a closet mystic, to be truth be told. They just haven't had the courage to go there yet.
Yeah, well, I have gone there. My whole life has been a mystic. I have been a rebel to the nth degree. I mean, I got divorced when 23 years ago. And I just started with this energy medicine, and everyone was saying, no. I mean, my sisters, all her family are in the medical world. She's got a pediatrician daughter-in-law in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and she's a pharmacist herself. So my whole family are so opposite to me. And my 3 children are in IT and brilliant. Here I am, sort of waving a pendulum and doing muscle checking and testing on people and saying, oh, that worm that you came across, have you looked up what it measures for you? They think I'm mad. But my life is magical.
Yeah. Well, it's another thought system. So it's it's just, I think for you, the next step is just shed all of that, those shackles, and other people's opinions. They're actually meaningless. That whole system is false. That's
Yes.
what Yeshua's telling us. The entire system is false. And you know what, the track you've been on is the truth. So just fully embrace it. Okay, I'm going to go more into this as I get older, because this is my, this is my path, my hero's journey, and I'm not too old to be on it. I'm just actually coming now into my power in this hero's journey. So this is the fruition of all of this work that I've done over so many years, and allow it to come through you and move you and show you, where to go, what to do, what to say. And then if you do that, you don't need to worry about dementia. It's not a factor, because the Spirit energizes, the Spirit heals, the Spirit uses the vehicle. In the vehicle, the instrument is useful for the Spirit. Sickness is not needed anymore. It's not useful. So it goes away.
Yeah, the way is forward.
Yeah. And if you allow that, if you allow yourself to be a clear channel, an instrument of the Spirit, then healing happens. Like, it's not useful for you to be sick and dysfunctional and demented. So you won't be. Because it's all mind, you see. The body has nothing to do with it. The scientific materialist paradigm, they got it completely wrong. They say it's the body, it's the brain. No, it's not. It's the mind. It's all mind. So you're doing mind training. You're doing this high-level mind training to really access the Spirit. That can rewire the brain. Absolutely. There's no question about it, because the mind is primary, and the brain is just a projection of the mind. That's why this is possible. And you've just got to stick to that, hold to that truth, because it's one or the other, isn't it? Either the mind is primary and the body is secondary, and or it's the opposite. There's only two viewpoints. It's going to be one or the other, isn't it? So one is correct. They contradict each other. One is correct and one is false. And it's up to you to decide, which one you believe in. But it's self-evident. The more you inquire and you do this work, that the I subjective must be ultimate reality. This, thought, emotion, memories, what's going on in the mind is primary reality, and the objective world is secondary reality, because that's a projection of the mind, as Yeshua's teachings. That's just a projection of this. What the ego's done is made that all backwards and said, no, this is primary reality. This is the cause of reality. So now you have an experience, and the experience is caused by your body and your brain. It's totally backwards. No, the mind is causing it, and the mind has created the body and the brain and the world to give itself the experience of being a separate self.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you it's one or the other. You can't, and there's no fudging. It's like, well, you believe one or the other, and they will not reconcile. You'll never reconcile the two views. So you have to stick to the. If you're in the truth, you just have to stick to it and ignore this is just totally false. The scientific materialist paradigm and the entire world we've constructed based on it is false. And this is all that Yeshu is teaching us. Don't believe any of it. So we come back to the three modalities. We've got acceptance at the base level. Then there's enjoyment. So you can have some activities that are naturally enjoyable. You just get into a flow, you enjoy it. It's not hard. You don't have to work hard at it. It just comes. So Lynn, you talked about when you're out in nature and you're taking photographs, you love it. It's enjoyable. You don't have to work hard at that. It just happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we all have some of those, but it's to learn to bring that joy that you experience, say, when you're taking your pictures, into your market stall, which is maybe more challenging, or into another area of your life, maybe relationships and so on.
Yeah.
To bring that to bring that in and realize that that joy is inside of you. It's not in the activity. The activity is just a catalyst for it flowing, but it's actually in you.
I can feel really in flow sometimes at my market stall, like joyous, it's like being out in nature. And other times it's, it can feel really hard and physically uncomfortable, mentally uncomfortable, like really noisy. I've music in one ear, somebody preaching, shouting over a microphone in the other ear, and what's going on? People arguing, and really, it's a whole mixture of things. And then, like you say, other times I'm there and I'm like, well, this is so blissful. I get to talk to people about animals all day, and or photography. Yeah, so it's a learning place for sure. Yeah, but it'd be lovely to enjoy it blissfully every time, but yeah, sometimes it's a lot harder.
Well, it's harder, but then that's then the challenge to let go. Whatever is showing up, if you're in resistance, then you experience those things that you mentioned as challenging. As I don't want that, because you're resisting it. But if you're really in the flow, then you resist nothing. It all just flows in. It arises and it passes away, and it's all part of the experience. And if there's no resistance, then it can't make you upset. There's no upset possible. So when you find yourself, resisting those things, then there's another opportunity to let go. It's okay. What am I resisting? Why am I saying I don't like this? So I've got a preconceived notion that loud music isn't good, or I don't like this preacher, or whatever it is. That's your own judgment, your mind's judgment of the situation. It's getting in the way.
I can deal with one or the other, but when it's happening at once, I'm very aware that I'm uncomfortable in the noise of it, because it's never just those two things. It will be those two things and people and lots of things. I don't know what that is. That is something about lots of noises at once. Because I actually like music. I love music. I love listening to music, and sometimes on a cold day that'll be what keeps me going, being able to just sing along, all day. But I'm aware.
It's a discordant. When it's lots of different noises, it can be very jarring for our senses. But
so does it mean I'm scattered then?
Well, it means you're allowing the external to affect you and to scramble your energy and take you out of flow. But if you're really locked into the flow state, then that goes with you wherever you go. God goes with you wherever you go. Love is in everything you see, because love is in your mind. So, whatever the experience is, your flow goes with you. It's possible to be in flow no matter what, which is the enlightened state. You can stay locked into flow no matter what. That's enlightenment.
I'll keep practicing.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then your market stall is your spiritual practice. Okay, so what's going to show up today? And then you get the music, and and you find there's a resistance, and you go, okay, well, let me practice on letting go of the resistance. That's what I'm going to do for the next hour. I want to practice letting go of my resistance, getting into the flow, getting into the moment, changing my mind. And you do your spiritual practice on it. So do you see how everything is spiritual practice? Everything, every experience, every situation, because it can all be used for this one purpose of awakening to the truth.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
And that's the only true meaning of your life. You see, then if you live that way, then your life has true meaning and purpose. And you're leading a meaningful life. Any other way of living is meaningless, because you're just in a dream, believing in the dream is real, and it's not. Completely meaningless and pointless. So this is what makes your dream meaningful. And as Dostoevsky said, it's about finding something to live for. We're all looking for that, man's search for meaning. Viktor Frankl. His theory was the primary driving force for people is meaning, and I'd agree with him. It goes deeper than any of the other needs that we seem to need to meet. Below Maslow's hierarchy of needs, physiological needs, belonging needs, esteem needs, all of those. The need for meaning is fundamental to the human experience, which is why we've always had priests and shamans and people who interpret meaning for us, interpret our experiences and help us to find meaning from the the world that we experience. Interpret a deeper meaning. And so just back to the modalities of doing, awakened doing. So enjoyment, that's being in the flow, that's dropping all resistance. So acceptance is necessary. You can't get into enjoyment if you haven't accepted. You're in resistance, that's going to block your flow and block your joy. Yeah? So that's kind of base level. And then enjoyment comes when there's really no, you've dropped all the resistance, and the experience just unfolds, and you're not really in charge. You know, there's a sense of you letting go of you. You're not really involved anymore, and you just surrender to the experience. So a sense of a letting go of self is what characterizes joy. And then enthusiasm is the third level. So that would be, well, I'm enjoying the process, I love it, but yeah, I have a vision to go somewhere with this. So, you know, so for instance, learning your photography, you enjoy the process and you love taking the photos, but now maybe you go, well, I'm going to create a photo album of 365 one picture for each day, which is matched to a quote or a course lesson. And, you know, this is a project.
Yeah, it's already in my mind, Jono. You've already planted it in my mind.
So you see, that's quite, that brings in something else, doesn't it?
Yes,
it's like,
exciting.
Ooh, I get a little excited about that too.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. It's just like, I'm not going out of the now. It's not that I'm not going to enjoy the process, but it creates a little bit of something else. So it's kind of goal
forward
setting.
vision.
Yeah, it's like, but it's visionary, and it's more like it's more like an activator for the joy. The joy just goes to another level when you've got that element added in. You got to watch it because you don't want to get attached to the outcome. So if it just becomes about the project, oh, well, you know, I want to do this because I want to get this out there and I've got to finish it. No, then you've lost the flow again, see?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I love doing this. I love my photos, but this becomes a catalyst. It's a focal point for it. And then I experience, this enthusiasm, which is literally means God in you, Greek entheos, God in you. So you experience this powerful joy energy combined with some kind of purpose. Like, okay, I'm going in a focused direction, and then, you know, watch out, things happen. When someone's in enthusiasm, consistently able to maintain that level of enthusiastic energy, then things will manifest. You know, this is a very powerful energy for manifesting. They're not really doing it.
It freaks me out a little bit because obviously where I'm manifesting at the moment, it already feels it's big for me.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah,
I want to keep achieving like this. I don't want to get in my own way.
Yeah, well, it's not really you achieving. See, it's just the spirit coming through you. That's what's happening. And so the more you allow it, the more that experience will unfold for you. And you, as you say, just don't get in your own way. Don't block it. You know, don't let the ego block it, because it wants to limit that and limit your experience of this power, because it's trying to tell you, no, well, you just little Lynn, and Lynn doesn't deserve this power and doesn't deserve miracles and all of this flow. And, you know, that voice, you've just got to go, no, you know, that's really just not, that has no traction.
Not true.
I'm not listening.
Yeah.
It's not
that's
true.
A waste of time.
You know, it's clearly a lie. I think you can see that now. So if it comes in, you just got to go, no, I'm not listening to you. You know, I'm a child of God. I'm in the spirit, and it's guiding me, and I'm entitled to miracles. I'm entitled to experience joy and happiness and flow, as a regular part of my experience.
Yeah.
That's because that's that's the gift of God to me. And then you start believing that you're worthy of it. You see how it's now corrected your self-concept.
That is like, that's the first thing. When like from doing this course with you, it's the realization that I am worthy of these things that's made these things come through me. It's exactly. Like that falls, because I've had those changes of perspective, and I'm not saying they stay all the time, because they don't, I'm sure I'll go in and out of it sometimes, but because I've had that change of perspective and I can see it from the other side, it's already changed a lot.
And that's, then you're experiencing the benefits of your true self, which are profound. And the ego gets scared by that and goes, oh, that's too big. That's way too big for little Lynn. Well, you're right. Yeah. It is. It's way too big. Little Lynn can't have it. Little Lyn's got to go away.
Yeah.
Your little self's just got to go away. You can't live that kind of inspired life and have little Lynn knocking around in your mind.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. Choose. This is what she's saying. Choose. You can't choose to be the little self and is the higher self. It's one or the other. So make your choice and live by that.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
And is there really a choice? I mean, is there really a choice? Do you really want to go back to little Lynn?
No,
you can experience this. I mean,
not a choice.
Why? What is it? Is it really a valid choice? No, it's not. You see, it's completely insane to want to go back to the limitation, the lack, and the loneliness, and all the drama.
Yeah,
it's like, no. Why would you want to do that when you can have miracles and flow and joy and happiness on a daily basis, just flowing through you, and giving you this is a happy dream. You're living the dream, living the happy dream. Whether you're on your market stall, you're out in nature taking photos, you're at home, cooking a meal, or whatever you do, it's there. The flow is there for you. It's always there. And that's an inspired life. That's a meaningful, inspired life, a happy dream, as it calls it. That's about the best you can do in this world. It's an illusion, but it can be a happy one while you're waking up.
Yeah.
So only ways, forward. Just go with it and let the Spirit lead you.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so that's Eckhart's theory of awakened doing. Three levels of awakened doing. Quite a useful idea, I think. I find it useful. So use it, apply it in your life. Acceptance. If you're in resistance, then you need to get to base level acceptance, and you get to acceptance when you let go. It's as simple as that. When you drop your resistance and you let go, then you accept. And that's what it really means by, well, can you accept this? It actually means you've let go of your resistance, your negative thoughts and emotions about the person or situation. You've dropped that, and then you've accepted it. And then that's foundational level. That leads to a state of enjoyment in what you do, just allowing the flow to come in and direct you, and you experience joy in the moment. And then that prepares you for enthusiasm, where you can add a some kind of vision to it, inspired vision. It's not an egoic goal. You're not really focused on the form outcome, but it's some catalyst. It's a project that would bring a focus to your joy, and it would allow you to express maybe your true self more clearly. Bring and help people through that process.
Yep.
So that's the enthusiasm there. So some recordings there if you want to do it, and we'll do another exercise 10 on the weekend on Sunday, which is to do with purpose. So that might give you clarity. You've got a decision to make in your life. It's designed as a decision tool. So if you've got a decision to make, big decision in your life, then use that decision and run it through the exercise, and you'll get a different perspective on the decision. So, which is then again part of putting you on your destiny path, clarifying things. So, after the course, you move forward in this flow state. Okay, so some recordings there to watch, some good stuff from previous courses. If you have time, dive into those. Just some housekeeping. If you haven't completed exercise 9 to your satisfaction yet, then do that. You might want to spend some time journaling. How you're going to live this. How's this going to look? You've got your higher purpose statement. I think everyone, because I helped you do that. So write that down and then go, well, how do I live that? How does that look? And see what comes from that exercise. And look for areas of weakness or past pain. Make a note of them, as the way of healing this pain is often synonymous with finding your higher purpose. So that's how it works. Your greatest purpose, your true purpose in this life, arises out of your pain.
Mm.
In the transcendence, the healing of your pain, that your purpose lies. And that's so often the case with healers, with people who've really walked a path, and they found their purpose. It comes from their pain. It's the pain reinterpreted. So your higher purpose is to follow the path that helps you to overcome these weaknesses and heal your pain by letting it go in the quickest way possible for you. So as a result, our higher purpose in life is often inspired by our most traumatic or different experiences. So, a good example, alcoholic who's overcome their drinking habit, then becomes an Alcoholics Anonymous counselor to help people who are going through what he went through to overcome their addiction. And in the process, as he teaches it, entrenches and completes his own healing and establishes himself as, I'm a sober person who's now able to teach these principles that keep me sober. And so helping other alcoholics is an integral part of the AA's 12-step program, because they've figured out that when you teach it, then you learn it. Because we teach others what we need and want to learn. As Yeshua teaches us, the purpose of the course. Who wants to read that quote?
I'll read it.
Anyone want to read it? Yeah.
The purpose of the course might be said to provide you with a means of choosing what you want to teach on the basis of what you want to learn.
So your inspired purpose is teach what you want to learn. And that's how you learn it. So you need healing, teach healing. You want to learn the truth, teach the truth. And then your purpose unfolds from that. So I love that cup. Keep calm and carry on teaching. That's fantastic. Keep calm and carry on teaching. So you're always teaching. Remember, even if you're not in any kind of formal teaching situation, you're always teaching, because you're teaching others in the world what you are through your words, your thoughts, your actions. And we're all teachers of God, as he calls us. So the blueprint for your read this section. If you haven't done there's a link there. Special function. We did this briefly on the weekend. So just talks about the Holy Spirit's kind perception of specialness. There's use of what you made to heal instead of harm. He gives a special function in salvation he alone can fill, apart for only him. Nor is the plan complete until he finds a special function and fulfills the part assigned to him, to make himself complete within a world where incompletion rules. That's the essence of it. So you have this unique journey. You're on your hero's journey. You've got various life situations, talents, abilities, skills that are unique to you. The Holy Spirit's going to take all of that and use it in a very special, unique way for you, because no one has exactly that, that mix. And then help you to play your part in this at-one-man process in your own unique way. That's your special function, which that's your higher purpose. That is what's going to help you to lead an inspired life, finding and living that. So here, where the laws of God do not prevail in perfect form, can he yet do one perfect thing and make one perfect choice? By this act of special faithfulness to one perceived as other than himself, he learns the gift was given to himself, and so they must be one. So that person might be someone you're healing, people in your community, recognizing the oneness that is between you. Okay, so any questions on that? Otherwise, let's go into the lesson. I think we're almost there. So just to wrap up those exercises, go in and do exercise 8. Make sure you've got 7 to 10 values that resonate with you, and then explore how you're going to live those values in exercise 8, and flesh out the purpose in exercise 9. So spend half an hour writing, because this is a blueprint. You're writing out how this is going to look for you. How's your new inspired life? It's going to be operated by this new thought system of the Holy Spirit, these higher values, and your purpose. How's this going to look for you? And that's what you're exploring, allowing the Spirit to guide you. If you need some help, there's a meditation, higher purpose revelation meditation, that you can listen to. It's about 20 minutes, which will guide you through, trying to help that process to unfold. And if nothing comes to mind immediately during or after meditation, just be patient with it. While I drop the expectation of form outcome, just let go and trust. Sometimes inspiration takes a bit of time to reveal itself. So let go of the need for an immediate outcome and allow it to come in its own time. So that's patience. See? Patience, flow. As soon as you go into, I'm desperate for a result, I want it now, that's the ego. And then it sabotages the flow. Where spirit is always open, patient. It's like everything's happening, divine timing. I'm not really rushed. But it doesn't mean I'm lazy. I take the guided action, take what action I need to take when I need to take it. So everything is happening exactly right. When I need something to happen, then it happens. I'm not rushed. I'm not, in resistance and delaying. I'm doing it exactly as it should be done. That's the flow state. Okay, so that brings us to our lesson for today. So have a look at the lesson. Who would like to read the very short lesson? I've invented the world I see.
Yeah, I have invented the world I see.
Picture of light curls, you're coming out, and yeah, we've made up the whole dream. That's what it's telling us. So do you want to read paragraph 1 for us?
Yeah. Today, we are continuing to develop the theme of cause and effect. You are not the victim of the world you see because you invented it. You can give it up as easily as you made it up. You will see it or not see it as you wish. While you want it, you will see it. When you no longer want it, will not be there for you to see.
It will not be there for you.
Yeah, sorry, it will not be there for you to see.
Okay, so read it in the alternative. It might flow a bit better.
Today, we are continuing to develop the theme of cause and effect. You are not the victim of the world you see because you invented it. You can give it up as easily as you made it up. You'll perceive it or not perceive it, as you wish. While you want it, you will perceive it, and when you no longer want it, it will not be there for you to perceive.
Okay, so what's he saying here in summary?
You're not the victim of the world you see because you've invented it.
And a key part of this teaching is desire. Right? We desired it. We wanted it, so we made it up because we desired to be a separate self. You can give it up as easily as you made it up. Well, you practice, you go, wow, that's not that easy. But it is just a decision in the mind. We made it up from one tiny mad idea of separation, which we chose to believe in because we wanted it. We wanted our own separate identity. You see the connection between wanting, desire, and what you perceive. Is that clear?
Yes.
We perceive what we want to perceive. You see what you want to see. Comes from your fundamental desire. If we look at this levels of mind diagram, right, what's at the core of it? Desire or prayer, right? So the desire would be of the ego, prayer would be of the heart, the spirit. That's what lies at the very foundation of your mind, and that desire is very simple. Do I want to be a separate self, or do I choose to be one self? That's the level of the miracle. If I can go into the prayer of the heart and choose to be oneself, that choice, that desire changes everything. The belief, thought, emotion, and perception changes from that one choice, which is the foundation of my mind. What do I desire to be? So this takes you all the way down, beyond all the layers. We were talking about in our text conversation earlier, and the layers. It's like, it's very tiring. Getting through the layers of the emotion and thought and the false beliefs. Yeah, it seems like heavy going, but beyond that lies this just the core level of what do you choose to be. And so you can see it mapped out in the levels of mind diagram very clearly. It's desire that's caused the world. Desire lies at the foundation. That's at the foundation. That desire underpins the beliefs. The beliefs get projected out. They manifest your so-called life experience from those beliefs, and then you experience them in perception. And if that belief's in charge, then you just experience them through that belief system. Okay, is that clear? The connection between desire and perception, and how that ripples up through thought, emotion, to the top level of perception. So projection on the one level of the belief outwards, that creates the illusion of form, of things happening to me, which is really just a projection of your mind, and then you perceive it from the same belief system as real. If your mind's not healed, then you're going to perceive it and interpret it according to the belief system that projected. And that's how the ego reinforces itself. So it's a game of make and believe. I desire something, so I make it up. Then I believe in it. So then, because I believe in it, my belief in it gets strengthened, and I make it up some more. And that's the way the world just keeps getting reinforced. Okay, so happy to move on to just this little teaching. This is one of your slides, Elaine. So why don't you read that?
Yeah. The dream is issuing from my mind. It issues from belief in sinfulness, that I once wanted to be above my brothers, i.e., I was once the destroyer of my brothers. It issues from my unforgiveness toward myself.
Yeah, so it's coming from my mind. I'm not forgiving. I'm still desiring to be a separate self. Still believing in sin. That I'm not innocent. My brother's not innocent. And number two, I will identify with my unconscious and say,
I will identify with my unconscious and say, I have invented the world I see. Even this world, ... is I, ... who rule my destiny. What happens, ... is what I desire. See this with curiosity. The means actors cannot be blamed. I am taking causation back from the world.
yeah. So the actors in the dream, because it's just a movie being projected. You can't blame them because it's actually just all a projection of your own mind. They're acting out for you, whatever you desire.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors. It's a projection, perception, illusion. I'm taking causation back from the world instead of believing that the world is causing my experience. I believe that the mind is causing my experience. It's my beliefs that are causing my perceptions, not the external world. Because the beliefs underlie the projection mechanism as well as the perception. See, it's all belief. Distorted belief creates projection perception. So what you're really seeing is just the product of your own belief. They're saying, take your power back, recognize that your mind is doing this to you, and stop playing that game of projecting, perceiving, believing it's real, and then playing the victim of the world, that you're somehow powerless in this game that you play. Because it's not true. You've made up the whole game. So I'm taking back causation from the world. I'm bringing it back from the external environment into the inner world. So I want to look at the integral model as well. It's a shift from being focused externally. This is where the world tells you should focus on external causation. Oh, I'm upset because something happened. You've made me angry, this kind of logic. So the external world is causative and your mind is at the effect, and it's turning it around saying, no, my mind is causative and the external world is the effect of my mind. That's the correct way around.
Yeah.
So it's a profound shift from focusing externally and saying my reality is dictated by this, which makes me a victim of the world, saying, no, I take responsibility for my own thoughts and emotions and perceptions. And so I reverse cause and effect as I thought they were, which is pretty profound. It's a complete undoing of the reversal of the ego's thought system. Okay, so number 3.
Now I will, to awaken myself and others from the nightmare, not merely change it to something nice. To do this, I must forgive my brothers, thus forgiving myself, and dream a gentle dream of kindness in my brothers, respond with kindness, give peace to characters in my dream, re-identify with my true identity, Christ.
Wow. So this is the happy dream. This is correction of perception. Going into the Christ self. You look at Holy Trinity, this diagram here. You're changing your perception, your mind about all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, traumas, successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen for you in the physical universe of time and space. So this is all illusion, but it seems to be real to you. So the Holy Spirit comes in and says, no, well, let's perceive it correctly. This is all helpful for you. It's all helpful to you in helping you to learn who you really are, which is your true self, or your Christ. So by reinterpreting these experiences, which is the Holy Spirit's function, that raises you up to the level of Christ consciousness. We call it the Christ mind. You start to identify more and more with this mind rather than the ego mind. That's just got you caught on the lower level and is getting you to interpret all of this from the perspective of the body. So this is the new operating system for your life. Christ in charge, perceiving correctly, true perceptions or Christ vision. These are the miracles. This is flow. Should put in there flow, actually. This is the flow. Forgiveness, letting go, surrender, acceptance, salvation. We call this the flow state. Flow, surrender, acceptance. All the same, just different terms pointing to really the same thing ultimately. So Christ, your true self, leads to these miraculous perceptions and experiences. And this connects you with your source. Christ, the true self, knows that only pure formless awareness of perfect love is true. That's why it's one self, saying there's only me. There is no separate self. It's only this one self that we share. And that's derived from, gets its identity and its power from pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, does that make sense as an operating system?
It does. It does.
And you see how this would just be a gentler dream, a kinder dream.
Yeah.
Dream of happiness and kindness and love and these things that we yearn for, and all of the sense of being lacking and limiting and all of the pain and the sacrifice and the loss that comes through that can disappear. It's not needed anymore. Because it's part of the false self-concept, the ego's false self-image. It wants you to keep doing it. Okay, so moving on to number 2. Idea for today. Who would like to read that? Well, there's just 2 of you. So Christine, you can read number 2.
The idea for today, like the preceding ones, applies to your inner and outer worlds, which are actually the same. However, since you see them as different, the practice periods for today will include 2 phases. One involving the world you see outside you, and the other the world inside you see in your mind. In today's exercises, try to introduce the thoughts that both are in your mind.
Both are in your own imagination.
In your own imagination.
So it's all part of the dream. Now, whether you see it outside of you or you see it within you. So the only change there, you want to read it again, is just perceive. Ever since you perceive them as different, you see them as different. Involve 2 phases. One involving the world you see outside you. And you see, it's the same exercise, whether you look internally or you look externally. So the interior quadrant of so-called reality, subjective, or the objective world, he's saying treat them as the same, because they're all part of the illusion. Difference with this quadrant is that with this, if you go into mind, you can actually get to your true mind. You can only attain the truth through the upper left quadrant. It has to be your own subjective experience of this truth arising. So as you go more within, you find, this is the mystic experience will take you into awareness of your true self through your own subjective experience, which is what mysticism is all about. Okay, so thoughts, comments, questions on number 2, inner world, outer world. It makes sense why we do the exercises on both.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's telling us that the transfer of training, that this thought system must go across, it must span the whole illusion. So that this integral model describes very accurately, how this time-space illusion works. And he's saying you can't segment it and say, well, it only applies here in upper left quadrant. It applies everywhere, because the truth is true. It always has been true. So it applies equally in the so-called exterior right objects, right quadrants. Which then really, if they're not in alignment with truth and they contradict it, then they're out of alignment. Ultimately, they are. And, so recognize that and let it go. Okay. So number 3. So this is just practice. And we'll do it 2 or 3 times. Close your eyes. I'll take you through this just now. Repeat the idea for today. Hurriedly as often as you wish. As you watch the images your imagination presents to your awareness. Okay, so just allow your mind to bring up whatever the images are. Fearful, not fearful, exciting, threatening, and so on. Just allow that to occur. So the inner and outer world are both within, composed of thought, and both without, outside your nature. So it seems to be outside of you. You seem to have an outer world, but actually it's all a projection of your mind. So our past, our thinking invented the world. We want it to be special and separate and living in this crazy world to perpetuate the idea of specialness. In the present, we only see the world we invented because we still want it as punishment. Okay, so if we still have the desire to be a separate self, then we will continue to maintain the belief that we are a separate self and that we live in a world. And you see that? You perpetuate the illusion because you believe in the illusion. You want it to be real because your separate self has an existence here. And we actually want the punishment to show us that we are separate. Because if we're all one, there's no punishment, there's just pure formless awareness of perfect love. So punishment, fear of punishment and attack thoughts just perpetuate the idea that I'm a separate self who is actually sinful and guilty. And I do deserve this treatment. Okay. And then the rest is really just practical application of the idea. So I'll guide you through this. Oh, Lynn's just in time, so she can do the meditation. Okay, so everyone up for meditation?
Yes.
Okay, so Lynn, we're just going to do a meditation on the lesson.
Oh, lovely. That's good timing.
Just in time, yeah. So stop the recording. Okay, so just making yourself comfortable, sitting in favorite meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart. If you're sitting on a chair, back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, just focusing all your attention on the subtle sensations of the breath. Draw the energy up the spine, clench the sphincter muscle into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, just feel into your heart energy. Feel the truth of today's idea. So now you're going to look in your mind and just explore whatever thoughts, emotions, related body sensations are going on for you. Kind of breathe into that, create some space, some awareness, light as we call it, spacious awareness coming in. Just breathe into that spacious awareness. So observe any thoughts, any emotions, any body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels at all negative or limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. If there are any situations going off in your life, you've all got stuff happening all the time. So apply today's idea to any situation that distresses you in any way. So it could just be a minor distress, you're a little bit fearful or anxious. It could be something major. There's a lot of anger, resentment, grievance. So just look at it, breathe in again. You're breathing in this higher awareness, space, light. coming in, just dissipating any clouds of darkness, and remind yourself that I have invented the situation as I see it, because I've invented the entire world. I've invented the situation as I perceive it. I've invented the world I see. The whole thing is an invention of my mind. A miscreation, a hallucination. We're in a hologram, seemingly real, but not really there. So everything that I experience in this world is invented. It's a fake reality, false reality. I invented the situation as I perceive it. I exhale on the truth of that. Have a sense of letting go as you exhale out, just blowing away all the negativity. Going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest. And deep peace and stillness comes when you let go. Really let go of any desire for this world. Recognizing the simple truth that I have invented the world and everything that seems to happen in the world to me and to others. I've invented it all. So now I choose differently. Choose to come into an awareness of my true self. Does not need to create false images. I've invented this situation and every situation as I perceive it. So just breathing in and out through your nose, observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. So this just creates a focus for the mind, stops it wandering, drifting away into other thoughts. I've invented the world. I see. Invented the world as I perceive it. The whole thing is in my own mind. Got so good at this process, I've forgotten. That's what's happening. That's what's really going on here. So just sinking inwards, going into the truth beyond perception, beyond the dream, beyond what you've invented. There is reality. It's true awareness, your own pure, formless awareness of perfect love. It lies in your mind. You can experience that. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Observe the breath flowing into out of the nostrils. And allow yourself to experience something beyond this world, a deeper experience, transcendent truth. For the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So if any thoughts come up that seem to block this, thoughts about time and space, past, future thoughts, and what you're going to do about a situation that's unresolved, just remind yourself that I have invented this situation as I perceive it. It's all invented in this creation of my mind. None of it is true. It's invented. False self, a false thought, false reality. I'm experiencing all of this falsity because of one tiny bad idea of separation, but I believed it. But I don't have to continue doing that. So just breathe in the truth into all of this. You're bringing in the light. You can visualize light if that helps you, coming into darkness, flowing into your mind, into every part of your body, into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, into areas that are limited and contracted and dark. You just feel the light shining in. And you can just let go of all those misperceptions. And then you're just popping a bubble. It's like you're looking at the thought bubble of this problem in your life. And you can just pop it and go, it doesn't really exist. Just a false self, false reality, false world. But right now you can experience the truth beyond the illusion. So give yourself another couple of minutes to do that, just sinking inwards, surrendering completely to a transcendent awareness, we call pure formless awareness, perfect love, which is in your mind right now. Just let that awareness arise. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, observe the breath, relax, sink inwards to this deep truth and let it reveal itself to you. In the next couple of minutes, deep silence. So just coming back gently into the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle, notice that. Notice the energy rising up the spine. One hand on your heart center, just to feel into your heart. So bring your mind into the present moment through all these sensations of the breath and the body. Maximal inhale breath, pause at the top of the inhale. Just scan your mind again. So notice any thoughts, any emotions going on. Particularly anything that feels negative or limiting or contracted, constricted in any way. If there's anything there, just remind yourself that I've invented the situation as I perceive it, because I invented the entire world. I invented the world I see. So you can just blow it away. Exhale, just blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Going, gone. All the lower stomach. Spine. Spinal nostrum running out. So on count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing. Surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm and surrendered state of mind. And you're going to just observe the world, do the exercise in its external aspect now. So on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a couple of minutes to look around and apply the idea for today to whatever you see. So say as you look around, whatever happens to be there, I've invented the world I see. All the objects, all the people, animals, everything is an invention of your mind. Just kind of let that sink in. You might try applying that insight to specific objects. I've invented the table as I see it. I've invented this computer, this mobile phone, as I see it, as I perceive it. Invented that picture. The entire world, the seeming external world outside of you. Is an invention of your mind, a projection of the mind. You're living in the effects of that projection, seemingly enslaved by your own projection, by your own invention. But if it's your own invention, then you cannot be a victim of the world if you made it up. And it says you can give it up as easily as you make it up. You will perceive it or not perceive it as you wish. So choose to let it go, not perceive the world for any longer than is necessary. While you're still human, you have physical form, and still the perception, but can choose not to desire it. You don't want this crazy dream of perception and projection anymore. You want only truth, only pure formless awareness, perfect love. And nothing else. So set that intention. Take one last look around the world. Say, I have invented the world I see or perceive. Close your eyes briefly. Same applies to the inner world. I've invented this world, the inner world of thoughts, emotions, perceptions. I've invented the world I see or perceive. Let that idea really sink in. And open your eyes again and continue on with your afternoon in this inspired state. Hopefully very connected, very much in the flow, in the spirit, which is the pure formless awareness beyond the dream world. And let that guide you to top yourself up. Practice today's lesson frequently. Yeshua recommends as often as you can, even if it's just for a few seconds, to remind yourself, I've invented the world I see. That's enough. You just look around and say that. You can use the breath break I've sent you. There's a 3-minute breath break to make it a bit more formal. There's a 7-minute breath break where you can use the instructions in the Telegram or email message, which will allow you to just do it on your own in under a minute. So practice well, practice a couple of times this afternoon and evening before the evening session, which when we'll practice it again as part of our meditation. So the evening session today will start at 7 p.m. UK time. So that's 8 p.m. French time, 9 p.m. Your time, Christine. So it's a relatively short section, actually 6 paragraphs. So hopefully we'll get it done in 2 to 3 hours. And it is on the Decision for God, it's called. So you can see it on the screen. Decision for God. Fairly short paragraphs actually, so yeah, it should be reasonably quick. But you never know with these things. So join us then. Okay.
Thanks, Jono.
All right. See you later.
Bye all.
Everyone. Good
Bye
afternoon.
everyone. Bye. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye for now.